Hello everybody and welcome to this week's video. This week I'm going to be ranking some of the books in my favourite series. In honour of the summer of series, I thought this would be a good sit down video to do. I've got I've got 7 book series here. They're not all my favourites. You can see all of my Elsie Silver is still up here because I just couldn't be bothered to get them down. But these are some of the series that I would recommend to people. Again, like the Naturals, I don't have all the books in that series because I'm replacing them with special edition ones and I can't afford to buy the other 2 right now. But this is like a good mix of series that I've read and enjoyed. I won't lie to you, I read most of these series multiple years ago, so I don't remember too much about what actually happens in them, but I'm going to try my best to explain why they're in the order they're in. So I think I'm going to start with The Legends of Thesma, because that is one that I did really enjoy every book in. I've tried to put them in the order I want to talk about them in, and I obviously can't give too many spoilers, or I can't give any spoilers, so I can't really tell you anything about most of these books. But coming in at 4th place for The Legends of Thesma is book 3, which is Fates and Furies. This and book 2 are pretty interchangeable for me. This is truly just because I can't really remember what happened in books 2 and 3. So for me, these 2 are very interchangeable. Obviously, spot number 3 is going to book number 2. I enjoyed all of these. I read them really quickly, which is why I can't really remember what happened in each book specifically. But this is interchangeable, so they both kind of have 3rd spot. Then in 2nd place for this series, I have got book 4, which is Shadow and Storm. Obviously, the finale of a series is always going to be a banger. I think the battle that takes place in this was really interesting, but how could it compare to the absolute joy that was reading Blood and Steel, which is book 1. I think the setup for the whole series and the romance in the series was done amazingly. I think Cal and Kip are the best characters that I've ever read. That's a stretch. They're some of my favourite supporting characters ever. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. For those who don't know, I guess because I'm talking about book 1, I can actually tell you some stuff. The Legends of Thesma follows Thea, who wants to be a warrior, but she is in a kingdom where there's a prophecy saying that if a woman wields steel, basically everyone's doomed. So obviously she can't fight because she'd be wielding steel. But when she performs an act that basically saves the life of the king, he makes an exception and lets her join the team of warriors, which I can't remember the name of the team. I think they are just called warriors because like the best of the best are called war swords. And so she is being mentored by Wilder Hawthorne, who is one of the war swords. And there's a little romance going on there, which I like. But yeah, I really loved this series and I really loved book 1 specifically. I hold in very high esteem. So if you haven't checked this out, I believe they're still all on Kindle Unlimited. That's how I read them. And I highly recommend them. They're so good. Then the next series we'll talk about, maybe I'll go like a fantasy then a fantasy romance. That I think works. So the next series I'm going to talk about is The DC Stars by Chelsea Curto, which is hockey romances for those who don't know. And there are 5 books out currently. I do own all of them. They are hefty and they are costly. So I think book 6 is out next month as well, which is crazy. So in 5th place for this series, we have got Sin Bin, which is actually the most recent book that has come out. This is between the coach, what are their names? Coach Brody and Hannah, who is the sister of one of his players, and she is a figure skater. And I just didn't like this one. It's an age gap romance as well, and I think the way they went about the age gap was not good. Like, they kept bringing it up and making an issue out of it, when in reality it didn't need to be an issue. Like, you're both adults, like late 20s adult with like 40s, maybe he's 40, something like that. Like, it's not a big deal at that age. Just move on, you know. So that was my main gripe with this one. I think I gave this one a 3-star, which is crazy because I love Chelsea Curto and I love this series, and this was by far my least favorite of the series. Then in fourth spot, and these, to be fair, they're all a bit of a toss-up from this point onwards because I rated them all like 4.5, 5 stars. But in spot number 4, I've got Slapshot, which is Hudson and Madeline. This is a single parent, so she's got a daughter who I believe is deaf. And I loved how Hudson interacted with them. She becomes his like private chef, personal chef, which is how they get closer. So it's a little bit of forced proximity as well because she moves in with him for this. And I love the way Hudson interacted with her daughter, but I truly don't remember anything else that happened, which is why it's being ranked so lowly. But again, this was like a 4.5 when I read it. I loved it. Then, and these two are pretty much a toss-up between the two, I've got in spot 3 Face Off, which is the first book in the series. So this one follows Emmy, who is a female hockey player joining an all-male team, and Maverick, who is the coach of the team. It's a little bit like rivals to lovers, I suppose, because they get off on the wrong foot, essentially. I love Emmy and Maverick. I love seeing them in all the other books. I just think this was a great way to start the series. What more can I say? Then, in second place, I have Power Play, which is book number 2. This one follows Pippa and Liam. I was going to get there eventually. In my head, his name is Grant, but I know that's wrong because the next guy, I believe, is Grant. Like, is in the next book that's coming out in the series, I think is Grant. I really like this one. This one was... Are they fake dating? Is it fake dating? It's like he's teaching her how to have sex. Which I love that trope. That's such a fun trope to do. She's the reporter for their hockey team, which is how they know each other. And I just thought this was really cute. I don't think... There's something else that happens as well. I'm sure there's something... Yes, there we go. They're married. It's a married in Vegas trope. There we go. I knew something was missing in my brain. That I love the married in Vegas trope, and I love the teaching her how to do stuff trope. So this was just like a bunch of my favorite tropes all wrapped into one, and I really did love this one. I think that one was a 5-star. And then in my top spot, forever and always, I think it's going to be hard to top this one, is Hat Trick, which follows Riley, who gets in a car accident and is obviously an amputee. You can see his leg there is missing, and his like physiotherapist kind of for the team, Lexi. And I just thought this was the most wholesome thing in the whole universe. She makes a rehabilitation plan for him so that he can continue being a hockey player and skating. Truly say less. Like, that's incredible, and I loved it so much. This is my favorite by far. This is my favorite. This was an easy 5-star, and it had me crying so much. I think I did read all of these in a vlog at some point, like different vlogs, but I've read them all in videos, I'm pretty sure, and I love this one. Then for this one, we've got the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. I know it's controversial. I don't know I don't know what to do with them, if I'm honest, because it was one of my favorite series, and now I feel like it shouldn't be, so I don't know what to do about that. But for the sake of this video, we're going to talk about them. In last place, and I don't even own the paperback for this one because I disliked it that much, is Fearful, which is the novella that comes after the series, and talks about Kit's point of view for the last book. I didn't care much for that at all, really. That was like a 2-star. I didn't like it. And so it won't really be a surprise to anyone, I don't think. These are basically ranked in the order they came out in. So in 4th place is Fearless. I liked it, but you know, like, I liked it, but I don't really have any opinions on it. I don't really remember what happened in it, and that's not a sign of a good finale. Like, I should know what's happening in the finale of your book. Yeah. Me. That's my main thought, and that is just me. Then in 3rd place, I have Reckless, which is technically book 2. This was just a lot of filler. I did really enjoy it. I think I still gave it like a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. Just because I love seeing Kai and Payton interact, because I just love their dynamic. So, and the ending of this one blew my little mind. So maybe, I don't know if I'd rank this higher. I don't think I would. But I really like this one. Then in place number 2, I actually have the original Powerless. I did like this one. I like the trials. I like the interactions between Kai and Payton, obviously. I love the hints at Kit maybe fancying her as well. I love Adina as a side character. I just loved all of it, really. Like, it was fascinating. And I listened to all of these on audiobook, which I think helped. I think that did massively help. But yeah, I really like this one. And then in first place, and I think this would be a lot of people's first place for this series, is Powerful, which is the novella that came out between Powerless and Reckless. And this follows Adina throughout the events of the first book, and it made me sob like a baby. I love this. I love this book so much. I loved Mac, who is the love interest in this one, and he makes an appearance later in the series, and it just it hurt my feelings. It really hurt my feelings, but this is definitely my number 1 spot for this series. Back to romance then. I think I'm gonna do, I've already done a hockey romance. Let's go for a cowboy romance. I've got the Lucky River Ranch series by Jessica Peterson, which, for those who know me, this is like my favorite cowboy romance series. There are 5 books in the series. It is complete, which is great. Great, I wish there was more. But we're gonna move on to Jessica Peterson's next series coming out in August. I'm pretty sure the first book comes out. I'm very excited for that. But in last place for this series, so in 5th place, I've got Ryder, which is the last book in the series, unfortunately. This follows Ryder and Billy, who is a bull rider. I'm pretty sure she's a bull rider. Yeah. This had cute moments. She gets into an accident whilst riding a bull, and basically she just has to like take a break for a while, and she spends a lot of time with Ryder during this break and like reconnecting with the ranch life and finding out what she wants to do, which was sweet. But the reason this is ranked so lowly is because there was so much setup for the next series. Like, Billy is the sister of the family we're about to start following, and I just thought it was a bit on the nose. Like, there was a lot of setup for Colt and his book and his love interest, and I just didn't need that. I didn't need that. Tell me about it in his book. So that's why this one's so low. Then in 4th place, I've got Duke, which follows obviously Duke and Wheeler. And this is an accidental pregnancy trope, which I do love. I do love an accidental pregnancy trope. But there are just better books in the series. Like, when you have a series all with bangers and 5-star books, something's got to be last place. So this is probably what I would rank the lowest out of the remaining books. Then we have Wyatt, which is so cute. I loved this one. This one follows Wyatt and Sally. Wyatt and Sally. And they, I believe, are like childhood friends to lovers, which I do love. I really like that because it gives you so many things to call back on and be like, oh, here's a thing from our childhood that I'm remembering now, and I'm using that to be a good boyfriend, which I think is really sweet, and I did really like this one. But again, there's just better books in the series somehow. Then in 2nd place, I actually have the original, which is Cash. This follows Cash and Molly. It's a little bit rivals to lovers-esque because Molly's dad passes away and leaves her the ranch, but Cash thinks he should have it because he's like the main handler on the ranch. He's the main guy. So it has an interesting setup, and I think the execution of it is done really well, and I do really love Cash and Molly, and again, I love seeing them throughout the series. But for me personally, I don't think anything could beat Sawyer, which is 2 single parents. So it's Sawyer and Ada. Ada. Now I'm confused. It must tell me on the back what her name is. Ava. It's Ava. Why am I so bad at remembering names? Sawyer and Ava, they both have little like 4-year-old daughters, which is so cute. They hook up on an impulse on a trip that Ava is on. and then they can't stop thinking about each other, and by chance she moves to the town that he lives in, and their daughters end up being best friends at school. And I just think it's so fucking adorable. I loved this book. I love Sawyer so much. It does also help that the name Sawyer reminds me of Sawyer from Lost, and he is like my favorite character. I love Sawyer, which definitely helps because I was picturing Sawyer from Lost when I was reading this. But yes, I love this book so much. It was so cute. Then going back to fantasy for a little bit, I've just realised I put these ones in the wrong order. Hang on. Whee. Okay, there we go. Now I've got them in the order I need them in. This is going to be a funky one to talk about because I really can't tell you anything that happens in any of these books. But in last place for this series, this is another complete series by Danielle L. Jensen. I love this one. Again, I listened to it in audiobook because it was all free on Audible, which is great because these books get big. But this is like my favourite fantasy series ever, I think. In last place, we have the original, The Bridge Kingdom. This was great. I love the setup. I love the world building that goes on. I just think there were better books. And this was one where I was like, because it's the first book in the series, I'd put it on as like almost background noise, so I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. But I did do a little recap before I dove into the rest of the series because I had a break between this and the rest of them. And I remember this took me like a month to finish the audiobook off, which is crazy because it's not a big book. So just for that, this is in last place. And this, I can tell you the setup of this. This one follows Lara and Aaron. I always forget how to say his name. But this follows Lara, who is sent by her dad to this other kingdom to basically like be a spy. And she ends up marrying Aaron in an arranged marriage situation. And originally they are like enemies to lovers because he knows that she's a spy and doesn't want to be there. And then they fall for each other because obviously they do. So I love this one. This is such a fascinating premise as well for a series. I love it. Then in 5th place, I've got actually The Traitor Queen, which is the sequel to The Bridge Kingdom. Because if you don't know, this series is done in like duets. So it's The Bridge Kingdom, The Traitor Queen, The Inadequate Heir, The Endless War, The Twisted Throne, and something else, The Tempest Blade. That's the last two. So this one continues with Lara and Aaron, and as I said, hadn't really paid attention when I was listening to the first audiobook, so I didn't really care that much about Lara and Aaron. I will tell you now that I've finished and paid attention to the entire series. I care deeply about Lara and Aaron now. But this is number 5 for me. Then, oh my god, these books are digging into my legs. Next up, I have got The Endless War, which follows Keris and Zara. So this is another one. So Keris is the newly crowned king. That doesn't seem right. Maybe he is. Maybe I forgot that detail. But Keris is the newly crowned king of Maradrina, which is another kingdom in this realm. And he runs into Zara, who he discovers is from a different kingdom to his own, and one of their like biggest enemy kingdoms, biggest rival kingdoms. And so there is a forbidden romance going on, which I love so much. I love it so much. And I can't really tell you anything else that happens because whilst they're in duets, there's like a really ongoing story and you do need to read them in order. So that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. Then next up, I've got The Twisted Throne, which is book 5. So this one starts following another couple, which is Anna and James. And this one is so fun. I love the premise of this one. So Anna is Aaron's sister from the first duet, and she gets sent to this kingdom to marry like the next in line for the throne. But when she gets there, he's not really interested in her, and she ends up spending a lot of time with his brother James. Don't even get me started on James. So yeah, that's that. And then the plot continues, and I can't tell you anything more. So just know Anna and James. Then next up in spot number 2, I have The Inadequate Heir, which is the continuation of Zara and Keris. Again, can't really tell you anything that happens because it is deep into the series. And that leaves our final book in place number 1, my favorite book in the series, because it was so fucking jam-packed with so much going on. You get everyone's point of view, which I loved. Usually I hate that. I hate multiple point of views if it gets past like 2 people. This had 6 fucking point of views, and every single one was worth it. Every single fucking one was worth it. And in the audiobook, you get different narrators for every character. Oh, it was so good. And I listened to this in like 2 days. 2 days. And this book is chunky as fuck. It's like 700 pages long. And that is The Tempest Blade, the finale book. Of course it is, because this was fantastic. This was fucking phenomenal. If for nothing else, you need to read this series for this book. Don't. Literally don't. This is, other than Project Hail Mary, which is my favourite book of the year, this is my favourite book of the year. Other than Project Hail Mary. This is it. I don't know how I follow that up. I was very passionate about that series. Next up, we have the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. I feel like this is a good one to talk about right now because the TV show has popped right off. So, in last place, I'm going to need to remind myself whose book is who here. In last place, I have The Goal, which I believe is Sabrina and Tucker. This one is Accidental Pregnancy, and I don't remember anything else that happened in it. But for this series specifically, I did look at what I actually rated them because I don't remember too much about the series as a whole. Yeah, this one's book 5. I don't know what else to say. Because again, these are like all pretty close in my brain. Like the series as a whole is amazing. I loved the whole series, but the books individually could not tell you what happened. Then in 4th place, I've got The Legacy, which is the final book, and it wraps up everybody's story. And I just thought that was nice. It was nice to get a little like epilogue book. Then in 3rd place, we have the original, which is The Deal. This one obviously follows Hannah and Garrett, and it is like fake dating, and it's just fun. It's just fun. And I don't think this would classify as like teaching her how to have sex, because that isn't really what's happening, but it kind of is as well. It's like trying to get her to finish is like a big part of this book. And I loved that. I thought that was great. But there were a lot of like trigger warning-esque things going on in here, and I think that maybe scuppered my experience reading it because that wasn't for me necessarily. Then next up we have The Mistake, which I believe is Logan. He's my favourite in the show. I love Logan in the show. And Grace. I genuinely don't remember anything from this book, but according to Goodreads, I rated it 4-star. So, and then 1st place, I obviously have The Score, which is Ali and Dean. They were my favourite couple in the series. They're my favourite couple in the show. Oh my god, Ali and Dean. Don't even. The bath scene. Yup. The fucking cool Dean. Is it Cool Dean or Cool Ali? Am I muddling things up? I don't remember. And obviously the big thing that happens with Beau, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil anything for the show, but equally these books have been out for years. So that, yeah, that's why this book is in number 1. And then the final series I'll talk about in this video, let me know if you want me to do a part 2 of this, because I have so many more series that I've read, is The Hunger Games. A sneak peek of the order because I have a special edition of one of the books. So in last place, and I think this would be last place for a lot of people, is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I just don't like Snow, and I didn't want a book from his point of view, actually. I really didn't. I didn't like this. I don't really care for the story, if I'm being real. And I didn't even watch the film. So this one's last place by a long shot. We then jump up massively in my intrigue for these books, and we go for Mockingjay, which is the final book in the original trilogy. So again, I don't know if we've passed the point of spoiler territory for The Hunger Games, but I feel like it's coming back because of the new books and stuff that have come out. But I just thought for what it was a good end to the series. I liked this as an ending for the series, but I just think the books with the actual games in them are way more interesting, and I fear that makes me very capital. I do think that makes me very capital. Then in third place, we have the original Hunger Games. This, again, was phenomenal. This could have been a standalone, in my opinion. I'm so glad it's not, obviously, because I love the series. But it was just good. It was great, even. I love Katniss's point of view and her very cynical attitude towards the games, opposed to Peter, who's like, how do I appeal to these people to get as far as I can? Katniss is just like, I don't want to appeal to these people ever. Actually, they're awful. I don't want to be for them, you know. And obviously we've got Rue. Everything in this book is great. This is one of my favorite books of all time. This whole series is one of my favorite series of all time. And if you don't know, I actually have an entire hour-long video going through the Hunger Games trilogy and giving my detailed thoughts on everything that happens in them. So I can link that below if you want to see that. I also have a video where I read the entire off-campus series, so I'll link that as well. But that's one of my favourite videos I've ever made, and it did not do as well as I was expecting it to. I'm genuinely gutted. But it's a great one to watch if you love the Hunger Games and just want to hear me talk about the Hunger Games books for an hour. So then in second place, and this was really difficult actually, because I do love the book I'm about to talk about, but I feel like for nostalgia reasons, number one has to be number one. So in second place, I have Sunrise on the Reaping, which I have this lovely special edition of. And this broke my heart into a million fucking pieces. I knew what was going to happen, and it still broke my fucking heart. I love Haymitch. Haymitch is one of my favourite characters in the original trilogy, so getting his backstory was genuinely like a god's gift to me. Obviously this follows Haymitch in the 50th Quarter Quell, which is the games that Haymitch was a part of, and it is fucking devastating. The whole thing is fucking devastating from start to finish, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm not ready for the movie. I'm not ready to watch this book with my eyeballs. I'm not. I don't want to. I do want to, and I'm going to, but I'm not ready for that because I know I'm gonna cry. Like, I know I'm gonna cry, and it's gonna be horrific. But this book was phenomenal. This book was so fucking good. And then obviously that leaves Catching Fire as my favourite book in the Hunger Games series. I think this is a really good one because it combines the amazing elements of the first Hunger Games book with the games, with the elements of Mockingjay that I did like a lot, in terms of like the rebellion. So, and of course we get Finnick, and who doesn't like Finnick? No one. So this is my favourite in the Hunger Games series. It's been my favourite since it came out. Since it came out is maybe a stretch, because I think I was a child when these came out. Hold fire, let me check when these came out. 2009, Jesus. Okay, maybe not since it came out, because I was literally 5 years old when it came out. But since I read it, this has been my favourite book. So for almost 10 years, I'd have to say. I'm pretty sure I read these when I was like 12, 13. And I think it will always be my favourite in the series. And it's my favourite movie as well from the series. So I just hold this one in such high esteem. I love this book. I love this book. And if you haven't read The Hunger Games, this is your sign to read The Hunger Games. And then you can come and watch my beautiful video where I talk about them in depth. And do you know what? For The Hunger Games, you can even DM me on Instagram to talk about it, because I have so many thoughts all the time about The Hunger Games. But my camera died just as I was filming the outro. But with that said, that is it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed. Again, let me know if you want to see a part 2 where I do the rest of the series I own. But this was really fun to do and really fun to talk about all these books, because I don't talk about them enough. But maybe I should. If you have enjoyed, I post every Friday, usually. I was late last week, whoopsies. But I will see you next week with another video. Bye!